Hi everyone, this is Tina with Overall Adventures. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, well, I'm making this video somewhat spontaneously because I am just a few pages away from the end of my current journal, and I thought this is a perfect opportunity to talk about the last page. The all intimidating, because it is, but the all exciting last page. So I came up with 10 different prompts, ideas, ways to approach the last page that I hope will make this a little bit less intimidating and more exciting. And I also want to note that I will be referring to the journal as a chapter in your life. Obviously this one is like, I think I was in this for a little bit over a month, so it's a short chapter, but it's still a chapter. It's still a book that a piece of my life. So I just wanted to give you a little disclaimer there. So let's jump into 10 different ways to approach the last page. So the first 4 all are going to be kind of collections. So if you do bullet journaling, you know what I'm talking about, but basically you're going to take the last few pages of your journal and give them some kind of title or some kind of list of collection. And as you write throughout the journal, you can add to this collection so that by the time you get to the end, you're going to kind of have like a snapshot overview of what your experience was like in that journal. So let me give you an example. So the first idea I have for you is what I call pages of support. I've done this before, and that basically is taking the last 2-3 pages, writing pages of support or whatever else you want to call it, and using this as a place to document all of the love and support. That could be words that you get, that could be gifts, that could be actions, just all the love that you've received during that time in the journal. And it kind of should make you feel like that boost of confidence when you go back and read it. So it could look like quotes that somebody shared with you. It could look like something someone did for you that was super sweet. It could be something someone said to you. It could be friends, family, strangers, comments online, anything. It's your place to capture that kind of love and support in those last few pages of your journal so that when you are having a tough day, you can go back to your pages of support and remind yourself that you do have a lot of love coming your way. You do have support, and you know, it could just give you a little bit of a smile on a bluer day. For the second idea, it's kind of similar. So again, you would take the last few pages and this time maybe title them Inspiration or Inspiration Station or something like that. And as you go through the journal or the course of writing the journal, document what inspires you while you were in that chapter of your life. So it could be something super simple like peonies, or I don't know, dark chocolate. It could be anything that brought you joy or inspired you, or another person or another artist that maybe you found, or something like that that has kind of brought your creativity alive. You're working on this list throughout while you're writing so that by the time you get to the end of the journal, you have this beautiful list of things that inspired you during that time that you were writing. So another idea that you could do is just kind of general facts about you and your world in the time that you wrote this journal. So for example, you could take the last few pages of that notebook, call it like, I don't know, facts about my world, or you could come up with something better than that. But something like that, and you could document what your actual day-to-day world was like with some serious facts. So that could look like weather. That could look like gas prices. That could look like your favorite ice cream for that time. It could look like your favorite song. It could look like something true about you that you've discovered. It could be anything, but as you go, and by the time you get to the back, again, remembering our journals are historical documents, long-term, and so someone could go back and read it and be like, wow, I get an idea of what that time in life was really like for this person. Another one, which is a personal favorite that I'm really kind of excited about this one. I think this would be fun. I used to do songs and playlists in my journal, but I think it would be really cool to take your journal and on the last 2 pages, call it like the playlist of this journal or the playlist of this chapter. And as you write down at the back of the journal the songs that come to your mind, or the songs that you listen to, or that remind you of this period in your life, so that by the end of the journal, you literally have a playlist of your life at that specific moment in time. And guess what? That's going to change to your next journal, right? So I just think that would be so cool, especially if you're really connected with music. I suppose you could do TV and movies as well, but I just like the idea of that, like somebody in the future could go back and read your journal and play a playlist that would like take them to your time period and your moment and your experiences and emotions. Doesn't that just sound like fun? I don't know. Someone's got to try that and let me know how it goes. The fifth point would be gratitude. I think this is probably the one that I do naturally most often, and it would be just taking the last few pages of my journal. This one would not be like, you don't have to do this one ahead of time. You can just do it like right through the whole notebook, and then when you get to the last few pages, just list out all the things that you are grateful for. It could be in list format, or it could be in kind of long form format, and just share, you know, all the blessings that you have in your life that have gotten you to that point. Number 6 would, and I think this is a really important one, is this concept of reflection, which I've talked about on this channel before, but it's the idea of going back, reading the first page, and just before you write, just sit for a second, and you could maybe reread a little bit of what you wrote, but start with the first page and think about where you've come from, just from the first page of that notebook to where you are now, and reflect on like what worked in that time, what didn't work, what's something that you learned, what's something that you still are working on or growing with. So I think that could be really fun, just as a kind of giving a sense of closure to your journal, even though we know that we're going to start another one and the journey continues. The next one would be writing a letter to your future self, or perhaps maybe somebody in the future who might read your journal. So what do you want to say to yourself, or what do you want to say to maybe a potential audience member who's reading your notebook? I just think that could be kind of a fun way to give that sense of closure without putting so much pressure on the last page. And the next one is a wish, or doing some kind of visioning here. So we'll wish for the future that you have, or maybe a wish for something that's going to happen in your life in your next notebook. Just think about this as dreaming, visioning goals that you might want to have for this next section or this next chapter in your life. Okay, number 9, this is my personal favorite, and I'm going to try it on this one. I just thought of it today, and it's just like hit me, and I was like, I have to talk about this to them. I have to tell you guys about this. So, do you know in a book, right, when you finish a book, at the end of the book, usually there's like the last page or second to last page is the author's acknowledgement section. And it's typically like one page where the author just thanks everybody in their life that helped to make that book happen. And I thought that would be so cool for a journal. So an acknowledgement page, but for your journal. So you could thank the people in your life that helped you to get to this point. You could thank really anyone, anything, any experience. And if it helps, you can go back and read some other authors' acknowledgements page. That's always my favorite thing to read. Whenever I read a book, I always usually read the acknowledgements first. I know that sounds strange, but I feel like it gives me a sense of who the author really is, and I just value that. So maybe read a couple acknowledgements pages before you try this yourself. I just think that could be so fun, and kind of piggybacking off of that would be an author's bio. That's always usually, right, like the last page of the book or the inside of the flap of the back cover, right, where it's like a third person talking about the author and, you know, a little bit about them. How cool would it be to end every journal with like a bio on who you are at that point in your life? Yes, so that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to try this time around, but that's what I'm most excited to share with all of you. The last activity or idea for you when it comes to journaling and the last page would be making a list or just free writing on the lessons that you learned while you were in your notebook. I think that would be so cool that if you were able to keep that consistent throughout a few journals that you have, that you could always look back to the last page and tangibly see what did you learn through that experience or through that miniature chapter in your life. So I hope this video was helpful. I had so much fun kind of brainstorming these ideas for you. And please let me know which of these you try, which maybe you've tried before, or if you have a completely different last page idea that you typically do, let us know in the comments so maybe we can try as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending lots of creative fire, and I'll talk to you soon.